Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss pre-market video for Monday, April 21st, 2025. I am Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss. Happy Monday, everyone. Here's a look at the ES in the daily time frame right now. ES, NQ, YM all testing the previous week's low right here. ES just now pushed back above the previous week's low. That's going to be a key level to watch early this week here. In the 60-minute time frame especially, you got a nice little pivot low here on what is that, a Wednesday, and then of course Thursday, the last trading day yesterday here, testing prices below that Wednesday low. And if a nice rejection or reaction occurs early today, we could be looking at a modest bounce back into the previous week's range with a shot to bounce back toward the previous week's midpoint at 53.74 over the course of the first part of the week here. One thing to keep in mind is with all of this extreme volatility that happened here, we got ourselves a new large key range here, and the expectation was that we would likely find a range somewhere near the center of that range and kind of trade back and forth. So anywhere between 55.50 here and 51.50, we could be looking at range-bound price action in here as price kind of digests the recent volatility after developing that large key range. So something to keep an eye on here. Still a downward bias here overall, but very strong lows a week or so back, 2 weeks back. Those strong lows there still holding as of right now, and any pullback could provide some higher lows that ultimately lead to what could be a nice little bullish recovery, but major strong pivot lows here to work from. If at some point we do drop down there to retest the lows, a lower low failure trap and reversal will be a big time opportunity there to look for. All right, taking a look here at the NQ. Similar price action out of the NQ here. This one trading near the previous week's low, just pushed just above it at the moment, but trending down there to test it. Can we find a reaction or rejection at the previous week's low that could open up a little bit of a bounce back toward the previous week's midpoint? 18,686 will be the previous week's midpoint, and that could be a target that's hit early this week if we see a reaction at the previous week's low. Got to get a good rejection there, especially here early on a Monday. Otherwise, a failure to find or establish acceptance back above that level could open up a downside continuation that takes us very, very close to those recent pivot lows. So again, big time level here to continue to watch. Looking at crude oil. Crude here, this one gave us a very strong day one rejection right there, right at 55. We mentioned any pullback as deep as 58 could still be defended here. We got close here a couple of days, failed new low here, outside day up, and have continued to trend quietly higher. 64 is the key level to watch here. If price can get above 64, you're back into the 64 to 74 market structure zone right there. A failure to get through 64s and you're trying to retest recent lows here. So 64 is the next level. Big strong day one rejection here. We are entering a major bullish window of seasonality here for crude oil that takes us into the middle of the summer there. So any pullback could be a buying opportunity here, and a push and transition through 64 will open up the next 10 points above into 74. All right, looking at the YM, and we'll come back for gold here. YM testing prices below the previous week's low here. That's Friday low. It's almost a complete box that is developed here below the previous week's low. So that's setting up for a potential box reversal. If price can pop back above the 34 or 39 145s, 39 150s here, it really opens up some upside. Again, back toward the previous week's close price, 39.4, but also the previous week's mid back toward 470. So 40,070 would be the next level up in terms of a major target for the week. So right now, if price can squeeze through that 39 150 zone, you really have some upside to begin the week here, at least on a near-term basis, to get us back into last week's range. All right, looking at gold here, big time strength out of gold, 2.6% higher, new all-time highs, 34.15 right now, and our target 34.3280. That's the target we set on this day right here when we hit the midpoint and mentioned, a failed new low could get us into that midpoint. And then once it started to smoke through it, we mentioned we could be working and tracking toward that 34.32. So nearly there now, 34.15s, big time strength. This one remains in a highly bullish phase at the moment. No fading. Any pullback still remains a buying opportunity. And looking at Bitcoin here, up 2.76% right now and showing quite a bit of strength from the double bottom low, the major rejection at 75. We kept talking about 74 to 75. We went precisely in the middle of that zone and bounced heavy. We are approaching the 90K level now. That's the last zone that really turned us down. Can we find a way to transition back through 90K here? At the moment, 90K could still become an area of resistance, so we could come up here and drop it back down as we stay in this lower range. But transitioning through 90K really opens up some upside. And looking at Ethereum here, Ethereum bouncing off the 1400 level. I mentioned 1400, while it's not the lowest low we could get to, we could perhaps still go find 1000 here, which are those major lows here from 2022. The 1400 level could be ultimately a triple down the road. First a double to 2800, and then into 4200 could be the triple there. So this could be a really solid opportunity off 1400. We've already seen one day test it, 1387, holding at the moment, still not showing tremendous rejection and reversal, kind of like some of these other markets, but it's hanging in there at the moment, trying to recover 1600 at value, so it could get stuck here and chop for a while. Maybe accumulation could develop down here with a shot to rally back toward 22 and 2800 down the road. All right, that is it for now. We'll see how this plays out here heading into the new week of trading. Good luck, trade well, and I'll see you in the trading room. Take care.